Hello.
Hello.
Is everything reaching loud and clear? Just want to make sure.
Yes, we can hear you well. We can see you well. So just you're welcome to share your screen with the presentation.
Okay, thank you very much. So let me just very quickly share the presentation indeed, since we do not have a lot of time. Just one moment. Here we go. Is everything visible at the moment as well? The presentation and so on?
Yes. So it's not full screen. So would you mind just making it full screen? Okay. And yeah. Yes. And now it's full screen. So ready to go?
Is
The
it
floor
full
is
screen now?
yours. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay, so I'll just close my camera so the internet connection doesn't create any issues as I continue. So I'll talk about Sabancı University, and as we don't have a lot of time, let me mention from the start that any questions that you guys might have at the end of the presentation, please feel free to stop by the chat room and I'm happy to answer. So Sabancı University, we're located in Turkey in the Asian side. Let me just very quickly, one moment. There you go, you can see the next slide where the campus is located. So we're on the Asian side, a bit outside the city center, but I'll talk about that in a moment as well. Before I speak more in detail about the university and all the various educational programs inside, I should take a moment to talk about Sabancı Holding. So the university gets its name from one of the wealthiest families and one of the largest corporations in Turkey. It was created as a philanthropy project more than over 20 years ago at this point. It's a nonprofit university. And the holding that supports the university, let's say, is involved in a lot of different institutions, a lot of different sectors in the Turkish economy. So that's actually creates a lot of potential internship opportunities, career opportunities, and so on for our students, which is why we always like to emphasize it before we start. Some basic facts and figures about the university again before we continue fully. First of all, every single program that we offer is fully in English. The university does not provide any Turkish degrees at all. It is a small university, so Sabancı has been created, as I said, more than over 20 years ago, and the student number is only around 5,000. That is on purpose. The university was built from the first day to be a small research-focused institution that is, providing quality education, and that is focused on quality over quantity, let's say. And another thing that we are very, very proud of to mention, and we'll sort of develop it further on as we go on as well, is our employment rate. So 97% of our graduates find employment within a year of graduation, which is a statistic that we're quite proud of. So here you can see on the map a breakdown of the countries that our students come from. So without, again, taking too much time, it's important simply to mention that the majority of our students come from North Africa and Middle Eastern countries, as well as Muslim countries in South Asia, such as, Pakistan, for example. Here you can see a breakdown of the various programs that are provided at the university. So on the left side, you can find the undergraduate programs, and on the right side, you can see the graduate program. So we have three main faculties across the university. Those are the Faculty of Engineering and Natural Sciences, the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences, as well as the Business School. On bachelor level, there are 11 programs total, which you can see a listings of here. And on the graduate program, there are quite a lot more. One thing to mention very quickly is if you have any questions about graduate programs, masters and PhDs, each of these faculties and each of these programs runs its own admission process completely free of the university's own admission model. So it is very smart to get in touch with us directly so we can directly connect you to the faculty in question, so you can communicate your application process through those channels instead. So I've been telling this to people who come to the chat, but just I'll remind you here again, do come to the chat about questions related to master's or PhD programs, so that I can further sort of get you connected, let's say, moving on. One small thing to mention before we move forward, very important actually, is the educational model in the university for undergraduate students. So for Sabancı University, we have a bit of a unique model among Turkish universities. When students start their studies at Sabancı in the first year, they do not actually have a program. So you might, for example, as a hypothetical, you might apply to a computer engineering degree. But when you start your studies at the university in the first year, you'll be taking shared courses alongside students from every other program. So psychology, visual arts, economics, every program, every student will be taking the exact same courses in the first year. We call this the foundation development year. Throughout this year, you basically, spend the year, as I said, taking shared courses alongside your classmates, getting a decent sort of background, let's say, before you move on to subject-based courses. And then at the end of this year, we provide you with the option to completely freely, without any limitation, any requirement, make your program choice. So you can, as I said in the example that we're talking about, versus a computer engineering student, get through this first year and then decide, computer engineering isn't really what I want to study. I want to focus on economics instead. Or perhaps you start studying computer engineering and then you realize that it doesn't actually fulfill what you wanted. And then you can say, I want to study psychology instead. So the university does offer a lot of flexibility in this sense of providing you the kind of educational system that you can create. And on top of that, there are the minor programs, which you might have seen from the previous slide, as well as the potential of doing a double major in every single program that is available in any combination. So you can truly create an education, like a 4-year journey that is very unique to yourself. One thing to mention about this system specifically, however, is the fact that in this first year, all students have to take certain courses, which means, and one of these courses, for example, is calculus. So, for example, a student who might be social sciences inclined and not very good at math still has to take math courses. So that is something to keep in mind. This is, of course, again, for undergraduate students, but do keep in mind that there is a requirement like this if you are interested in studying. That said, of course, we do not, throw you to the wolves when it comes to choosing the major that you want to study. So after you begin your studies in the university, we will be assisting you through various events, various get-togethers, and so on about which field corresponds to, what professional career, what kind of courses you'll be taking, what kind of research opportunities are there if you're into academia, and so on. So you can truly make your program choice very, very well informed. Before I sort of talk about, before I talked about, the university's quality of education and so on and so forth, and research focus. So here you can see some of that focus in, let's say, numbers, very basic numbers. But simply put, the university is very, very involved in research in a very wide variety of different fields. Some of the research centers that we have are actually very active within Turkey and outside of Turkey, as well as international sort of research centers, such as the International Center for Energy and Climate, the Gender and Women's Studies Research Application Center, the SUGender. There are very, very active research centers that also, our undergraduate students can partake in, as well as, of course, all the hundreds of laboratories that we have active on campus every day, doing very cutting-edge research. This also reflects in our rankings. So we are among the top universities in Turkey. We have been the top university in several years, and from year to year, depending on the ranking that you look at, our position changes. But in the last 10 years, let's say, we've always sort of kept the top 3 spot. So as far as when we again talk about like rankings and universities education quality, there is actual, like, let's say, mathematical like rankings facts to back that up as well. Some of the rankings that we're very proud of are the world's best small universities ranking, which you can see here. So among all the universities in the world that have a student number of below 5,000, we are the 27th best university. And the Asia university ranking, again, is something I am personally very proud of. So the 48th best university in all of Asia, including China and Japan, Korea, and so on. So the university does have, the let's say the factual backing behind its promise of a high quality education. That, of course, also continues to our subject-based ranking. So here you can see, we're very highly ranked in social sciences faculty, and the computer science program, for example, itself is very highly ranked. So is the engineering, technology, engineering faculty in general. And of course, our business school is accredited through its own sort of unique accreditations and very highly ranked in Financial Times rankings. So every single program that we have truly is actually quite well ranked and quite well regarded internationally. That said, let me talk very quickly about some student life matters as well. So exchange programs and internships. So we have a lot of very strong partners, both in the education sector and globally, and the business sector. So if you want to, for example, partake in an exchange program abroad in another country, you will be able to do that, and the university does cover a lot of those costs, even in certain countries which are usually outside of cost coverage of this kind of program. So if you want to do an internship in Germany, for example, we can cover some of your costs. So if you want to go and do an exchange program for years studying the US universities that we're in agreement with, the university will be covering your travel costs, your day-to-day costs, and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of international experience that you can get also studying at the university. And this sort of also applies to our graduates and where they end up. So you can see here some of the countries that our graduates have moved on to after they've finalized their studies in our university. And again, to reiterate, the 97% placement within 1 year of graduation is something that we're very quite proud of. And it's quite high among Turkish universities. These alumni, as you can see, go to like Europe and North America quite often. Of course, the majority stay in Turkey as they're Turkish. But the students that go to these countries, let's say for graduate studies or for professional careers, do end up going to very top institutions very commonly. This is because of our faculty's connections. Most of our faculty members are actually from like top Ivy League schools and so on in the US, or top universities in Canada and UK and so on and so forth. So there is a lot of very strong faculty connections, which can create a very easy to follow pathway for students to also follow, for their future postgraduate studies, as well as, alumni connections and so on that have been created over the years with top international companies across the world, which can allow our alumni to, find internships or job opportunities at, Silicon Valley companies, for example, which is a very common thread lately in the last few years, and so on. Just to speak about the campus a little bit before moving towards admission. So our campus is one of the largest campuses in the country, very green. The greenest campus actually per meter square. It's a bit outside the city center, as I said earlier, but it is built like a mini city to cover every need that you might have. There are dormitory opportunities available for international students. If you want to stay in the dorms, you will have dorm access, basically. So we do sort of guarantee that, let's say. And so let me talk about how to apply, I suppose, without taking, whoops, sorry. That moved there. Without taking too much time. So all our applications are online. So you can apply online through our online application system. There's an application fee, which candidates have to pay during the application. But after that, all you have to do is just submit all your online documents, and you'll be evaluated. And within a few weeks, you will get a result from us. And we do accept high school scores from the majority of the world's countries. So you don't have to have any extra examinations, whether it be English exams or SAT exams or anything of the sort. sort. The applications are open until the end of August. And another thing to mention finally is the tuition and the scholarships, of course. So as we are one of the highest ranked universities in the country, we are also one of the most expensive universities in the country at $19,500 US per year as our tuition. But we do provide scholarships ranging from 25%, 50%, 75%, and 100%, as well as a dormitory scholarship that covers the accommodation costs fully. And we do give quite a lot of scholarships every year to, to countries that are in this event at the moment, North African countries, let's say. So, you can expect strong support systems from the university during your application. And here you can see a variety of contact information for our social media and our email address, of course. Once again, I invite everybody to come to the chat. So, I can answer any personal questions, more direct questions, let's say, that you might have, as well as, point you towards future contact paths. And I think that's basically my time. So thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thank you for the presentation. Dear attendees, I would like to remind you that if you have any questions to the representative of Sabancı University, so please do not hesitate to follow the link that we're sharing in the chat and proceed with your questions at the exhibition platform. So there, we'll be very happy to answer all your questions. Thanks a lot.
Exactly. Thank you.
Thank
Have a
you
nice day.
once again.